How much did that win mean to Dale?
He didn't play it up a lot, but I knew how much it meant to him.
Yeah.
That man had won 30-something races at Daytona between the summer race, the dual qualifiers, the Clash, Xfinity, IROC. He'd won everything he could win there, but he just had never won the Daytona 500. I think he had led the Daytona 500 is 200 laps, and someone had shared with me in his first 19 tries, he had led all but 2 different laps of the 200. He had never led lap 200, and there was some lap in the 70s he'd never led. And I knew how bad he wanted to win it. And I remember when they fired the engines on pit road, right before I clipped that window net, he pulled me down by my collar inside the race car, and he's about that close to my face, and he says, "You just keep me close to the front today, and you get me to the rear bumper of who leading this thing late, and I will make his good day go bad." I knew how bad that man wanted to win that race.
Did you enter that race that day thinking there was a real good chance that he could win, or like did any part of you subscribe to the belief that for whatever reason it just wasn't in the cards for Dale to win the Daytona 500?
I didn't, because we built that car, as I mentioned, in the late summer of '97. We'd been to the wind tunnel with it 3 or 4 times. It had been to Daytona and tested. It had been to Talladega and tested, and it just was good. It was fast. Yeah. It drove good. And then when we got down there for Speed Week, it's almost like every day that went by, as the racetrack was losing grip, the car just got better. We won, dominated the dual race on Thursday, and the only hiccup we had the entire week, which definitely caused me to have a sleepless night on Saturday night, we had an engine issue in final practice on Saturday. And we put a brand new engine in that car race morning that had not been out on the racetrack. And back then, you didn't have to go to the rear of the field changing engines. You just changed engines and went on about your business. So when he took the green flag, I knew the car was good, but there was this unknown of this engine that had not turned a single lap. But it didn't take long into that race. I knew as long as we didn't make mistakes, as long as I didn't botch some strategy, as long as he didn't get caught up in somebody else's wreck or something freak that had happened to him a lot, like a cut tire or something, that the only team that could beat us is if we beat ourselves.
How much do you get to celebrate that win in the moment? Because obviously it's such an important race and it's such an important win, but you do still have to like get right back to focusing on the next race.
Yeah, you do get to celebrate it a little more. You know, once we cleared inspection late that night, they actually, the car that wins the Daytona 500 goes on display in, I don't even know what they call it now. They used to call it Daytona USA or Daytona Experience. It's the kind of the museum out front of the speedway. It goes in there for 1 year. And so Richard and his wife, Dale and his wife, and myself, my wife wasn't down there, we stayed overnight because we had to go to a breakfast there that next morning to put the car into the Daytona Experience or the Daytona USA, whatever they call it. But yeah, once we did that, by lunchtime, we were headed back to North Carolina, because I think back then Rockingham was the next week, and we used to check in Rockingham on Thursday. So yeah, you enjoy it, you celebrate it. But the only win you can celebrate for a long time is if you happen to win the final race of the year.
Yeah.